Welcome to Sound Up, your direct connection to everything going on in the world of music. I'm Mark Goodman.
And I'm Alan Light, and if you're already a fan, you know the drill. But if you're new around here, this is how it goes. We deliver 2 new podcasts each week.
And both of those feature up-to-the-minute news, special guests, and whatever else you need to know about what's going on in the world of music. Now, on our Tuesday episode, we also feature our new music picks of the week, and you can find those in our Sound Up soundtrack playlist on Spotify.
Then on our Friday episode, like this one, we record everything live so you, the audience, can listen in and join to be a part of the conversation.
To find out how you can join a future taping, go to sounduppod.com and sign up. And to join our Sound Up Pod Squad, simply like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, TikTok, X, you name it. Do that right now and join in on all the social media fun.
This is Sound Up with Mark Goodman and Alan Light, the only music podcast that matters.
All right, that's our rock and drummer producer, Roger Coletti on the drums.
Courtesy Roger Coletti? Wow.
Welcome. It is Sound Up, and I'm Mark Goodman.
And I'm Alan Light.
Today, we got a huge show. We're going to discuss AI. Should AI be used in creating, playing, and performing music, both in the studio and live in concert?
And we've got a bunch of music news. Updates on the Jane's Addiction Love and Rockets tour, the Black Keys, shall we say, readjusted for ticket sales tour, Ticketmaster getting hacked, an update on the insanity out of Graceland, and more. Plus, you guys loved our recent social media question, what music would you play to get a bear out of a tree? and if you don't know why we're asking that, go back and listen to last episode.
We have your responses, which are freaking awesome. We got your responses to that deep, hard-hitting, important topic. We've got that for you here today on Sound Up. All right, we got a bunch of music news to get to, so we're going to jump right in. Alan, you want to take the first one here?
Start with this one.
Yeah.
We had David J. talk to us on a recent episode, and he said he had a very busy year coming up, and he had this box set of his unreleased demos and such, but he wouldn't say if he was going on to do more work with Bauhaus or Solo or Love and Rockets, and now we know, at least we know a little bit more. Headline on the story is that the original members of Jane's Addiction have announced a 2024 tour, marking the first time that all 4 members have played together in 14 years.
Wow.
The band will be playing a co-headlining tour with Love and Rockets starting on August 9th in Las Vegas, winding up on September 29th in St. Louis. Jane's Addiction was formed in 1985 by singer Perry Farrell, guitarist Dave Navarro, drummer Stephen Perkins, and bassist Eric Avery. That quartet splintered after their first 2 albums, 1988's Nothing Shocking and 1990's Ritual de la Habituelle. They reunited in 2008 for a tour, but Avery bailed out in 2010. They just played their first reunion show on May 23rd at a London club, performed a new song called Imminent Redemption. In 2023, they released another new song called True Love, allegedly from a new album, which would be the first to feature all 4 original members in 34 years.
Damn.
Love and Rockets co-founder Daniel Ash apparently assisted Jane's Addiction in working on the new music. He had played with them some in 2022. So this new LP will be their first in 13 years, their 5th overall. And again, we don't have a date on that, but we do have dates on this tour with Love and Rockets, more than 24 dates across North America, starting August 9 in Las Vegas.
In Vegas.
So there's a bunch of news. Reunion of the original members, touring, new album of the 4 of them together for after more than 30 years, and Love and Rockets out co-headlining with them.
So first time I ever saw Jane's Addiction live, they were opening for Love and Rockets here in New York City.
Wow.
I think it was when Nothing Shocking just came out, and I had not heard of them or the album, and I was just like, who the hell is this band? They are amazing, and what a great show.
I'm excited about that. Jane's Addiction, do you agree with me? It seems to me they were always like an uber cool band, but it seems as though they have accrued more uber coolness over the years.
Yeah, I mean, staying away can do that for you.
Right.
That's part of it. Scarcity can help. And understanding the influence that they had. I have not seen, apparently, the 3-part Lollapalooza documentary just went up this week, and I have not watched yet. Very curious to see, but I'm sure we got a lot of Perry Farrell going on in that.
Hell yeah. I'm still making my way through the Stax documentary.
Yeah, there's that. Then I had said a few weeks ago that I hadn't seen the Beach Boys documentary. That's because it wasn't up yet, but it is up now. That went up last weekend. So there's a lot of work to do.
A lot of stuff going on. We also have some news on the Black Keys. We're all fans around here of the Black Keys. And the word is that they have now broken their silence after canceling their entire North American tour, explaining to fans a more, quote, exciting, intimate experience than the arenas that were scheduled. I don't think it's because they couldn't sell out arenas.
When you're readjusting to a more intimate experience, that seems to be a recalibration around how many tickets you can sell.
So people were obviously dismayed, shall we say, about the cancellation of the entire tour. However, it is now known Dan and Patrick have taken to social media. They have broken their silence on the International Players Tour, and they have decided to come back, as Alan pointed out, in smaller theater venues for a more intimate experience, much like what they did on those European dates. Quote, the band wants to assure everyone that Dan and Patrick are alive and well. Following the recent run of shows in the UK and Europe, including stops at iconic venues like Brixton Academy and Zenith in Paris, we've decided to make some changes to the North American leg of the International Players Tour that will enable us to offer a similarly exciting, intimate experience for both fans and the band. They will announce a revised set of dates shortly.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's not because they weren't selling tickets. That was the rumor at first, but they've cleared that up. The band has said, no, that's not
They just want to give a better experience to their fans.
Yeah.
Thank you, Pat and Dan.
So love them for that. Thank you.
I wonder if Taylor's going to do the same thing now and just, scale down.
I guess, look, you've been reading about the Graceland situation, and we talked about it. Actually, our show dropped the day after the whole controversy first sprung up. But now things have gotten even weirder.
Now we have less clarity than we had before.
A person using an email for the company seeking to foreclose on the former home of Elvis Presley says his ring was behind the threat to sell that landmark. It's a hacker we're talking about.
In Nigeria.
He claims to be in Nigeria. He's with that prince that we used to be hearing about in emails. The writer identified himself as an identity thief, a ringleader on the dark web with a network of what he called worms placed throughout the United States. In an email to the New York Times, he said his ring preyed on the dead, the unsuspecting, and the elderly, especially those from Florida and California, using birth certificates and other documents to discover personal information that aided in their schemes. We figure out how to steal. That's what we do. So the question becomes, as you get a little deeper into this, we don't even know if these guys are full of shit or not.
No, some guy popped up and said, oh yeah, this is me. I'm doing it over here and I'm an identity thief.
Right.
I don't know. Are we taking his word that that's what this is about? But we have no better explanation either for this alleged company that nobody could locate of no fixed address who claimed that Lisa Marie owed them $3.8 million and had put Graceland up as collateral. So,
and none of those documents could be found. The notarization was forged. Lisa Marie's signature was forged. But the guy continues saying, I had fun figuring this one out, and it didn't succeed very well. No kidding.
All I will say is when we did it the last update on this story, we said, watch this space. We have not heard the last, and we still have not heard the last of the Nigerian identity theft ring trying to steal Graceland.
Run by that prince.
Moving from the prince to the king. He's moving up the chain. All right.
Just the final note on this. Not only do we not know if this is actually what happened, but it's sort of an alarm bell. Because if it wasn't this venue, this scheme would have worked.
Right.
Just a super high profile venue. Duh, Mr. Nigerian hacker. What were you thinking?
Well, he said he was preying on the elderly and people in Florida. Is he stealing Florida next?
Yeah.
So the mansion is neither in Florida nor elderly. I mean, the mansion is elderly, but certainly Riley Keough is not. So I'm not sure what's going on there.
This story ain't done.
Watch this space. I can't wait for more.
It's only getting better. So real quick, sort of even as we speak or even as you are listening, there's a big auction going on that Julian's Auctions is holding here in New York City at the Hard Rock. And I did an event last week with Randy Bachman from the Guess Who and BTO, who is selling about 200 guitars from his collection as part of this auction, along with a bunch of other high-profile, one of John Lennon's guitars and Jimi Hendrix memorabilia and a bunch of Freddie Mercury stuff, like a lot of stuff. But the centerpiece is 200 instruments and equipment from the Randy Bachman collection. I did this event for the auction house last week, and some video should be going up soon, and we'll send that out and link to it for people who are curious to hear Randy. We featured 5 of the primo guitars that he's selling, and he told the story behind them, including the guitar that he wrote American Woman on. That was then his primary Guess Who guitar. Then when that one was his doctor told him it's too heavy, it's fucking up your back to play that Les Paul, and he shifted over to a Strat and then another Strat that were his primary BTO guitars. Those are also coming up on the block. And a guitar that he had, another Les Paul that he found in a music store in Westchester, PA, I believe.
Huh.
He said, "Can I see that guitar?" And they said, "No. Keith Richards brought that in here and asked to have us, fix it up for him, and never came back for it." The guitar shop got in touch with the Stones office. They got back to them and said, "Yeah, forget it. He's got enough guitars. He doesn't need that one. It's been sitting there for 2 years." So they sold it on the cheap to Randy. So he's now selling that guitar.
Do you know offhand? I mean, I know I don't expect you to have their whole book memorized, but what was that going for, that guitar? Do you remember?
What's it going for at the auction?
Yeah, like what's the starting bid?
I gotta look and see what the estimates are on that. I don't have it in front of me. I could find it
because it's not signed or anything. Although I guess they do have some verification.
Yeah, it's all authenticated. Anyway, it's pretty wild. He's selling all these instruments. He started collecting these Italian archtop guitars. He has dozens of those that he's also selling. He was like, you know what? As the touring stopped, he's like, COVID, I have these 4 houses. I have all this space. Now I've consolidated down to one house. I don't have any place to put all these guitars. So he's letting them go. And finally, this just broke. We've been talking about Ticketmaster in the news, but we've been talking about it for one reason, and now we've got to talk about it for another reason. As the congressional hearings have been announced to look into the Live Nation and Ticketmaster monopoly, in the meantime, the Shiny Hunters hacking group has claimed that they breached Ticketmaster and stole the personal data of, get this, 560 million users. The 1.3 terabytes of stolen data also includes payment details. They are offering this for sale on the something called Breach Forums. I guess we're deep in the dark web, for a one-time sale of $500,000. Shiny Hunters has allegedly accessed names, addresses, email addresses, phone numbers, ticket sales, event details, order information, and partial payment card data, including customer names, last 4 digits of card numbers, expiration dates, and even customer fraud details. If confirmed, this could lead to potential identity theft, financial fraud, and further cyber attacks. Their move to put this data on sale only shows the growing menace of cybercrime and the increasing sophistication of these ne'er-do-wells.
So can I just jump in here and say why I'm not all that concerned with this? Because one of my credit cards had a data breach already, and I'm already paying for Experian, so I'm being monitored. I'm not worried.
But you are one of the 560 million who are affected by this.
I have to imagine that most of us are.
Two weird things about this. One, they are so unafraid of being caught that they are public with this. Like, we're so good at this. We're telling you we did this. We're selling it. We're promoting the sale.
And how does that happen?
Right. But number 2, that is a lot of data to sell for only $500,000, which makes me a little suspect of how legit this might be.
I mean, unless it's just a shakedown of, because in a lot of these cases, the companies just pay it to be done with it rather than, get into a hostage situation. So,
but it's not like it's gone.
It's not like it's gone. Right. That is correct.
So it's not like a ransom situation, really.
Well, if you have Ticketmaster app or whatever, I suggest change your password.
Change your password maybe is one idea.
All right. Thanks for that tip, Roger.
A consumer tip from
Thank you
Roger
so much.
Goodman.
As if Ticketmaster didn't have enough aggravation and
That's
Live
what I'm
Nation
saying.
and all of those people, or maybe good on them. Good for them. Let them deal with that instead of raising our prices and charging us insane fees. All right. That is definitely going to do it for music news. Although I'd love to hear from you, we all would, on what you think of some of these stories, this hacking story, the Graceland story, the idea of identity thieves being so bold all of a sudden. Man, oh man. But that's going to wrap it. You can hit us up. We would love to hear from you on that sounduppod.com. But stick around. We've got some more stuff going on, AI and more next.
It's your turn to sound up right here on Sound Up with Mark Goodman and Alan Light.
Welcome back. It's Sound Up. And right here, we're going to get into AI. Everybody's buzzing about it. Some love it, some hate it. Most of us don't even know what the hell it is. It's on my phone. Am I using it? I don't know.
You're using it right now.
So while we're thinking of AI, in our conversation with Gavin Rossdale of Bush, which I hope you heard already, we talked a little bit about AI. If you want to hear his thoughts, you can check out episode 39, our last episode earlier this week. That is out and available right now. Let's get to some messages. We do have an audio message from Pod Squatter Runner Wine Beach. That's Dina.
I am admittedly very afraid of AI. I watched way too much Doctor Who to not be very scared of the fact that machines are going to be smarter than us. But if you think about AI in music, one of the things that I think is that it might help in an augmenting situation, right? Is it going to think of things that maybe a singer or a musician didn't think of? But I guess my bigger question is, how is AI used differently than the, often hated, much maligned tracks, right? Or auto-tune? Because aren't we really sort of already doing that? Aren't we really already sort of letting AI help us pick our music because Spotify puts all that stuff together for me, or Apple Music puts all that stuff together for me? So I think it's kind of snuck in already into our day-to-day. But there is something that just generally frightens me about taking the thinking out of the human piece of almost anything, whether it's art or driving or anything. Anyway, it's been really fun listening to you guys, and hopefully you're not going to be in AI, because I'm not ready for that. Have a good day. Bye.
It's a sticky one. Do you think it's fair to compare AI just to using tracks or to, the voice box?
The other recent story we've been talking about that prompted us to come back to this is this Randy Travis song,
right?
Which I think is in some ways the most
it's a really interesting
extreme
wrinkle.
In some ways, but a really fascinating and layers deep way to think about this stuff. We have Randy Travis, who was ill, had a stroke, cannot sing, survived, still presumably wants to make music, and released this song that was entirely constructed using AI.
Based on his stems.
Out of his own existing recordings, constructed out of what he had recorded over the years and pulling, language, syllables, words, whatever. And presumably, he was involved crafting those into a new song and a new vocal. And what do we make of that? On the one hand, it seems like the response from a lot has been, hey, this is great. He's not physically capable of doing this, but this is a way for him to create. This is what I would do if I could do this.
Right.
We have the tools. And so I'll make a new song that sounds like what my new song would sound like.
So that really the only redeeming quality about this particular use of AI that we're talking about is that the artist is involved in the creation, more so than other things that we've talked about, where you put a series of, data points into the window and you click a button and it spews out a poem / song. Now that is different. That's different.
There's, we also talked about, there's this Steve Marriott thing that's come up where his estate wants to use AI to complete these unfinished tapes of his recordings that a lot of his friends and some of his family and other musicians are objecting to. That one saying, hey, he's got no say in this, as opposed to Randy Travis, hands-on or whatever, being involved in approving these choices, creative decisions. There is no Steve Marriott. How do you know what Steve Marriott would do with these songs? So there's that. There's what you say, which is, make me a song that sounds like this. But then there's also, somebody recording at home who's a independent, your daughter making a record and saying, hey, I want a string section on this song. I can't afford a string section. Let me do here. Hey, let's put a string section in this part.
Well, but it's more than just putting the string section on. It's like, I want a string section and I want AI to write the score.
It can be any of those things. She could sing the part in and say, give me a string section that does this.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If the artist is doing the input, that makes it better. I still feel squirrely about the creative process being placed, on a circuit board.
Sure. Well, they're all, that's the thing. All of this is on a spectrum. To say it's good or it's bad is really hard because there's such a nuanced grid all along the way of what it is. As we've said, look, we're all using, anytime you put in you're using your GPS, you're using AI. Anytime you're using spell check, you're using AI. These are all, artificial intelligence tools. It is integrated into our life in many, many ways. And there's all of these different possibilities and opportunities that it creates.
Yes.
That also could be, but how far are you comfortable utilizing that?
Well, I guess part of it also, and I know that they've been talking about this in Congress, that there's needs to be some sort of, as if legislation can actually control this, but there needs to be some sort of legislation that requires, a flag of some sort on items that it should be known that it was created by AI, whatever that might be, whether it's a book or a song or a data, a set of numbers or whatever. So that's part of it. And
it's part of it.
The idea, I didn't watch Doctor Who, but I've watched plenty of sci-fi.
Plenty of Black Mirror.
And right? And think about, like AI has really, look, it's been around a while, that's fine. But we have really started talking about it intensely just in the last, I'll be generous, the last year. And look how much has happened already. 50 years from now, it's going to be Terminator.
And it is improving and it is learning minute to minute.
That's what I'm saying.
In that time.
It's all over for us, for humans.
This is, whatever we're seeing is the tiniest leading edge of what this is going to be. So we got a bunch of, you want to read some of these emails or you want to get right into it with some of the folks who are here?
We have some people who joined us live. So let's jump right away to David in Florida / New Jersey. Hi, David.
How long does he keep the / New Jersey?
I'm sure you want me to do that, right? You're proud of your New Jersey roots.
Well, actually, right? I'm going in there tomorrow, but that's okay.
All right. I'm sorry, but okay. What exit? No kidding.
You can take what exit. Yeah, that's what I heard that before. Got a couple of people. Cue Zager and Evans, please, in the year
2525.
Get going now, please, gentlemen. To a little background. I need some background music here because the question I have a bunch of questions here, which is, what is art? Now, I think about this because think about the electric guitar. When that came out, people were so offended by it, but that without the electric guitar, there would be none of the music that we have now because the guitar would have been a rhythm instrument forever. Think about synthesizers when they came out and when we had switched on Bach and things like that.
Yeah.
But those were all examples where the artist was integratively
it was a tool
involved in there, and it was an extension of them. The question is, when do we lose the human input? When do we lose the human touch? We know that the importance is right now that in music, collaboration, interhuman relationships are so important. Would the Beatles have been the same without Paul and John? You can go on that forever. Do I want to hear an artificial Linda Ronstadt, because she can't sing anymore? I think not. I think that draws the line.
What if she's involved, David? What if like Randy Travis is doing right now? Similar situation.
Then I think that would make a difference. Mark, I would definitely draw the difference there, the line in there, because then there's the human involvement. They're taking one piece and they're working on it. They're trying to. How is that different than the electric guitar in the broadest sense of the word? So that the question that I have then is, at what point does art end and artificial begin? And that's my concern.
And to extend that a little bit, I mean, I always, reach the point of any of this stuff, AI, much like any attempt at sort of coming up with a formula for pop music, can only tell you what's worked before. It can't tell you what's going to work tomorrow. I mean, that is the thing that I think all of us love about pop music in a lot of ways, which is people act like, oh, you could just make it up in a lab and, put it all together and figure it out and have a hit. But you can't do that,
right?
Because labels and everybody, manager, whoever, still miss more than they hit. Like, it's never as simple as that, because you can only base it on what people have liked before. The things that we really love are the things that you didn't see coming and took us to something that, we couldn't anticipate, took us to those kind of leaps. How does this take all the data of everything that's been done, but how does it create and surprise in that way? And that, I think, is the limitation.
Well, to the extent that it's a tool to allow us to go further, I say right on, because it's to me, it's just the extension of the electric guitar, the amplifiers, the synthesizers, and everything else. And Mark, you pointed that. But the question is, beyond that of the ethical and legal questions we have here, which we could spend a whole other night on, when is perfect not perfect? When is the flaw?
Sure.
When is pitch correction, auto-tune, all those things which take the trill? I mean, the thrill is the trill. The thrill is the bad note which comes into a good note. In jazz, they talk about there's no bad notes because you can always correct and make it good. If you take that away, what do you have? Do you have any creativity left? In my opinion, no.
Well spoken. Thank you, David. Definitely. Spot on.
Jan wrote, I agree with Dina on a lot of what she said. However, when did this all start? 97 was Beatles Free as a Bird. Was that AI or just recordings they found to bring John on the record? Now with the deceased artists, are you willing to listen to an AI version of that artist? If so, it's the Wild West when it comes to money and payouts. So, yeah, I don't think there was no AI in the anthology recordings. Those were just existing tapes that they recorded over.
Weren't there was some, at that point, some little technology to buff it up and lift it a bit?
Yeah, they could clean it a little bit.
Yeah. Unlike what Peter Jackson now has been using. Yeah.
Well, now, certainly everybody freaked out when the initial announcement about the Now and Then song was Paul saying, well, we used AI.
Yeah.
And everybody thought, oh my God, they fabricated a Lennon vocal. They made up a new John out of, thin air, which is not what they did at all. It was essentially the same thing. They're just able to clean better and use some of the AI tools to sort of, fill in things that drop out or whatever it is, augment the sound in a different way. That was once, but when did it start that people, as David just said, electric guitars, drum machines, the Dickie Goodman comedy records where he would ask a question and then play back part of a song to give the answer, was that like
early AI,
early sampling, right? Is that like when is using technology to create stuff?
But don't you think, I feel like unlike rock bands, I've talked about this, I think, earlier in the week, rock bands like the Moody Blues using the Mellotron so they could fake having an orchestra. They wrote what the Mellotron they played the Mellotron. They wrote it, as opposed to, like we were just saying a moment ago, I want to have strings on this track. I can't afford strings. Here, let me put in, I'd like something that goes, it's sort of up-tempo and beautiful, and it feels like it sounded like that and this and that. And then the thing spews out.
I don't have a problem with that. That's what the Beatles did with George Martin. John said, I want it to sound like the Dalai Lama on top of, and 1,000 monks chanting. And it was up to the production team to figure out how to make that sound.
But they made the sound.
Artist. Yeah, I don't care. The artist, the Beatles didn't make the sound.
But it was still credited to Lennon and McCartney.
And the producer, the producer has a hand in the creation of music, popular music.
I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with, an artist using that to say, I want something that sounds and feels like this in this sort of a key. That's not troubling to me. That's Prince programming a drum machine. I don't care if their physical hands are on it or not. That doesn't matter to me.
Again, I disagree. This is like a whole other episode. We've talked about AI a couple of times.
Well, that's the episode.
That key little thing there about saying, do this for me, create this for me. Programming a drum machine, he's putting in exactly the rhythm that he wants.
So you want to strip out, so sampling's no good either.
Why?
By what you just said.
It's a person pulling out a sample and sticking it in his song or her song where they think it works.
I don't understand. What's the distinction? What do you say? How is that different than saying, I want this sound that sounds like this to go in here and how they think it works?
Because it is, especially these days, it's identified as a sample. That's what that is. That was created by that artist. I love that. And I put that in my song too. And I gave him some money. You think it's splitting hairs, really?
Yeah, I think that's splitting hairs. Yeah, I do.
Evan, are you there?
I mean, my thought is it kind of depends. And I know that's a cop-out, but...
No, these are depends questions for sure.
but kind of like, with the Randy Travis thing, the artist is involved. And I think that has a lot to do with it.
And the audio, it's his audio also. It's his stems.
Okay. But, but kind of like, years ago or a few years ago or whatever, I mean, nobody used synthesizers. And then the 80s came along and people started using synthesizers instead of going out to figure out how to make those sounds. The crappy auto-tune with T-Pain and Cher, at the time, it was really bad. But now everybody uses auto-tune, whether you know it or not. So it seems like it's just another tool along the lines. I mean, me coming from a publishing standpoint, AI kind of bothers me too, because people could take away our intellectual property and, use that for, for their purposes. But I do think if, as long as the artist is involved, because some of those, like a year or so ago, people were making up an AC/DC song or a Metallica song or something like that wasn't the actual artist doing it. And I think that's... But
what about, here's a scenario. What about, as we were just talking, Alan brought up the Steve Marriott case where he's gone. And like so many estates, they have control over what they do with that music, with his music, because for however legally, he left it with them. So... Mm-hmm. Is that cool then? Because they go, okay, so we're going to create some more Steve Marriott music with AI because we're the estate and we could do what we want. We're going to use his stems, or we're going to base it on, some of his old songs or whatever. How's that?
Yeah, I mean, see, I don't think with that, the artist is not directly involved. So I don't think that's necessarily the right thing. I mean, kind of like the Prince.
So no posthumous releases from artists, right?
Right. I mean, once they're dead, they can't write anymore. So,
So how about that Beatles song? I mean, there's no Lennon and there's no Harrison to sign off on it. So how far do you go?
Yeah. I get it. McCartney and Starr are still involved. So, yeah.
That's right.
All right. Yeah. Thank you, Evan. I appreciate it. We're not going to solve this. I know. But
we're not going to solve it, but we can point out the complications. You want to read any of these?
Yeah, we got some pod squatters checking in Facebook remarks here. Brad Orderstrom. I imagine a time where there will be AI jukeboxes. You pick the song and the artist, and then it creates it on the spot. That's kind of fun.
And that's kind of what Evan was talking about too. You've seen some of those that are like, have Hank Williams sing Back in Black, people are playing around and doing all that stuff. I think that's what he's talking about. But that's novelty. I mean, that's just like super primitive, basic use of this stuff.
Novelty, but go online. There is someone.
Oh, there's everything.
Someone took Dua Lipa's Houdini, and it's Phil Collins. If Phil Collins recorded and sung the song, and it is a Phil Collins song, but it's Houdini. It's insane.
Our man Tim Kendall wrote saying, during an apocalypse, sure, why not? AI is the next nail in the coffin. For most artists, streaming were the first few nails. Soon, street performers without electricity will be the only desirable form of live entertainment.
Wow. Tim Kendall, doomsayer.
He's consistent. It's a consistent perspective, if that is your perspective.
For sure. Our friend John Ezzo, who is an artist in his own right, he says, depends on the level of usage, but I fall on the no side for the most part. No AI.
Let's read one more and then go back to one more of our folks here. Monica wrote, I only see an application like how Randy Travis used it. An artist that still is in control of their musical output can no longer perform in whatever capacity. Use of AI to fill in a voice or production as a tool may be beneficial to some artists. I can really only see this as a studio tool. Touring on this basis would be problematic.
Yeah, how does Steve Marriott tour that? Those new songs?
Well, how is ABBA? How about those ABBA shows?
There you go. AI created avatars, didn't they? I guess it's probably an AI thing, I have to imagine. One more. Our friend Sunita has checked in on AI, and she says, AI is fascinating technology, and there is definitely a role for it in almost all industries. In the music world, it will be potentially transformative. A few quick examples. Artists who otherwise can't afford or unable to utilize other people in the music industry can use AI to produce their own music, improve recordings, fill in with instruments, etc. It gives people more opportunities and access. Okay, I sort of see that, but not exactly. Used properly, I don't see AI as ever truly replacing composers, lyricists, artists, but it can be used to enhance their art. I mean, would I ever pay to see an AI performance when the real thing is still around? No. Could this become a thing when certain artists are no longer able to perform and the avatars take over? It's happening already, Sunita. It is, she says, already happening, and people are paying to see those shows. It might happen. If there is a way for more demand for a living performer than can meet the need, which is highly doubtful. Assuming it happens with artist consent, a very interesting use of AI is dubbing songs into other languages. It's efficient and sadly cost-effective.
Interesting
point.
It
is. It is. Obviously, AI regulation is a real concern. Unauthorized usage, likeness, etc. is a potential minefield. I mean, if Marvin Gaye's estate can win a lawsuit, stating that there was enough of a similar feel of blurred lines to one of his songs to warrant copyright infringement, what does that mean for AI-generated songs? In those wise words of Stan Lee / Uncle Ben, with great power comes great responsibility.
There you go.
And also, it's the end of the world.
Let's hear from God of Thunder Bay with thoughts on AI before we wrap up here.
Isn't Gary Peterson using AI now with the Guess Who?
Well, I don't know what's going on with the Guess Who. You're up there. You're up north. You have better sense than me. All I know is they're in court.
Burton's pissed. That's for sure. But AI started with, I remember a guy out of Toronto. I don't know if you guys know him or not. Nash the Slash. He went on tour. I mean, Gary Newman had his tour set, came to Toronto, saw this guy in a bar, canceled his opening act, hired this guy to be his opening act. He was banned in many places because he was a one-man band. He had drum machines, and drum machines were by the unions. I'm a union guy. Were banned in centers in Toronto by the union, saying you're taking jobs away. There's big fear out there for sure.
Yeah, but I've brought up drum machines before on this. When drum machines came in, everybody said, okay, that's it. There'll be no more drummers. It's going to take all the jobs. It's going to take everything. There are still drummers,
the fear.
And there are still drum machines. That's the fear with every one of these new things is, it's going to wipe away, that's going to clear the field. But it hasn't. That didn't happen with synthesizers. It didn't happen with drum machines. This is more sophisticated than that. But, it's the same fear over and over.
It goes beyond sophistication, I think.
But artists don't make money by recording anymore. They make money by touring. You're still going to see the live acts out there, I hope.
Look, it's a constantly moving. I mean, that's a constantly shifting field. There are plenty of artists who are making money from streaming. There may be more artists making money from streaming than there were artists making money from the old recording model. That is all still shaking itself out. But, of course, where the revenue comes from continues to shift and continues to move around the field. But my point is, with every iteration of these new technologies, there's exactly what you're saying, this terror of, okay, that's it, and humans are done, and humans are still doing okay. I mean, we're not doing great. just in general, but we're doing okay as far as
So my industry went from 5 guys on the train to 2, and they're trying to get rid of me.
right.
And AI is the next big thing, which will help them try, but it's the safety thing that'll keep me. But but it's everyone's fear. And then how do people feed themselves?
On the one hand, it's like, as we discuss what this new development does to our society, to culture, it's like you don't see any more blacksmiths around, since people don't ride horses, to get to work anymore, So this is, I guess, sort of like that, I guess.
I saw somebody post the other day, the problem with this whole AI thing is they just got the formula backwards. I don't want something that's going to make books and movies for me so that I have more time to fold laundry and do the dishes. I want something that's going to fold my laundry and do the dishes so I have more time to read and write.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. So I want to encourage all of our gathered pod squad to just stay right where you are. We're going to take a fast break here, and we'll be back in just a sec. But we're going to finish things up with your comments on that recent topic.
Recent news story.
You'll want to be here for this. Stay right there. We'll be back.
This is Sound Up with Mark Goodman and Alan Light, the only music podcast that matters.
All right, we are back on Sound Up, and last week we were talking about this stupid story where professionals use Black Sabbath music to try to scare a bear out of a tree,
which was unsuccessful.
Yes. While ridiculous, we did start thinking about that, and of course we asked the ridiculous to you as well. What song would you pick if you were trying this? And the responses, oh my gosh. Well, Mandy, is it Baliva, said, sadly, any song by Yoko Ono.
Oh,
but
still
come on,
the Yoko,
really let the
still
woman
with the
alone.
Yoko jokes.
I agree.
However, Tyler seconded that, saying I was going to add an artist, but saw this post and you're the big winner on this one. Don't think anyone can top it. All right.
I think so. Tiptoe Through the Tulips by Tiny Tim. Do people remember this song?
Maybe all the more so.
Oh,
to buy our Kodachrome. Our friend Kodachrome said the theme from Green Acres, because if it was a fat bear, his or her shimmy would go well with the melody as it came down.
I like that.
encouraging some response from the bear as a way to get it out. Not going for scare it out. Involve the bear.
Right. Dolores Beer says, or Buyer, I'd rather the bear stayed in the tree.
It's a good point.
Until I got far away. For that, I would play Tijuana Brass Taste of Honey.
To keep the bear in the tree.
Keep the bear in the tree.
The bear in the tree.
Interesting. I love that.
We heard again from Brad, who we heard from earlier, who said communication breakdown. Now, if Black Sabbath didn't work,
yeah,
I have a hard time seeing that Zeppelin is going to, be the one.
Where was it? And I can't remember. It was something like it wasn't Vietnam, but it was in Iraq or something where they were blasting Britney Spears.
Yeah. In Panama. Noriega was the big, they were trying
I was trying to remember where it was.
Blast him out, yes.
Hit Me Baby One More Time for like 48 hours nonstop.
Something like that. So. All right, you got one more here.
Last night, Corey Griswold says, last night we wanted to stab ourselves in the ears with ice picks when Georgie Porgy by Toto came up on Yacht Rock on Sirius and seemed to never end, with the lyrics just repeating over and over and over. Okay. Now, that's the one.
It's on you listening to Yacht Rock. Like, you're not allowed to listen to Yacht Rock Radio and then complain that they play Toto.
If they play, 100%. It's like every song.
That's your own. That's your decision. Second of all, maybe that, I don't know. I could see a bear. The bear's just going to cool out.
Yeah.
And hang out. I don't know that that's going to work. Jan in the chat, by the way, says there was a bear in a tree here in Tampa this week who was up there for 2 days. I said we should use She Bangs by William Hung. which I think as many people remember maybe as Tiptoe Through the Tulips. I'm not sure, but
Well, it's a little more current, I guess.
it's a little more current.
And to be fair, he had a big hit with it, didn't he?
They both did.
Well, that's true. Tiny Tim did too. I don't know.
All right.
I don't know.
That, I think, is enough of that.
Well, now at least we got some great suggestions for when I go on vacation and
Roger, do not put
camping.
those on the Sound Up playlist.
Please. Who? Oh, Jan, you just said bare necessity.
Bare necessities.
Simple bare
Go.
necessity. Go, Jan.
All right.
She's on it. All right. I think we're going to call it a show here. We're going to wrap things up. I want to thank all of you who turned up to be a part of our live Sound Up Pod Squad here as we're doing this taping. We love seeing you here with us. If you want to go to sounduppod.com and find out how you can be part of our live Sound Up, Sound Off podcast taping, email us at connect@sounduppod.com.
Do it. Email us your thoughts or send us voicemails on any of the nonsense we've been talking about. And don't forget to give us a 5-star rating on whichever platform you listen to Sound Up on. And we will catch you next time here on Sound Up.
Sound Up is hosted by Mark Goodman and Alan Light, produced by Roger Coletti, distributed by Revolver Podcasts. Get Sound Up on Pandora Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. To be a part of the show, email us at connect@sounduppod.com. Sound Up theme music is by Smile from Tokyo. We'll see you next time right here on Sound Up with Mark Goodman and Alan Light.